We all have things we need to get done, and Google Tasks makes it easy to keep track of them. In this video, we'll go over how to create a task, add details, set due dates, and even schedule repeating tasks so nothing falls through the cracks. Okay, so like I said, we're here at tasks.google.com. Let's start with the basics, which is creating a task. There are a few ways to do this. You can click the Create button in the top left corner. Gives you a little pop-up here with all the details you can add for your task. You can also use the Add a Task link at the top of a list. Slightly different interface here, but you can see similar kind of idea here. And then if you prefer, you can also use the keyboard shortcut C, which is almost identical to the Create button. However, we need to pay attention to this because although there are multiple ways to add a task, there is something you should know. If you click the Create button or use the C button on the keyboard, you get the same pop-up that appears here. But the task has to have a due date and or a time. There's no way to create a task without that. So if you just want to create a task that doesn't have any specific due date or time, you can't really use the Create button or the C keyboard shortcut. I mean, you can, but you have to go back in later and take out the due date. So if you wanted to do one without a due date, you have to come over to the list and click on Add a Task, and this is where you can add a task without a due date. So I'm going to create a task here, and I'm going to call it Take Out the Trash. Simple enough. If I want, I can add a description, maybe something to remind me to take out the recycling as well. But descriptions are optional. So if you're just jotting things down quickly, you can skip that part and hit enter to create the task straight away. We talked about due dates. Let's see what that looks like inside of this interface here. And you can see we've got a couple of smart chips at the bottom here for adding a due date. So if I just mark one here as today, it'll become due today. So I'll X that out and show you, we could do tomorrow as well. That is an option. Or we can come over here to the calendar icon and we get a date picker where we can choose a specific date or time. So let's say it's due tonight and I want to be reminded about it at 8 p.m. Then I'll click done. So I've got a date and a time on my task here now, but this is something that I'm going to have to do every week. I would love to get a reminder that came up at the same time every single week. Well, that's what the two arrows are for on the side of this task on the bottom right corner. So if I come over to those two arrows there, I've got the option here for repeating this task. So do I want it to do it every day at 8 p.m.? No, that would be overkill. So let's come up here and see what the options are. I can choose every day, week, month, or year. So this is going to be every week at 8 p.m. And then once I choose that week drop down, you can see I've got different days that I can assign this to. So it's going to be 8 p.m. It's going to start on March 15th and it ends never, okay? Because trash never ends. But if you're doing something that you're maybe taking some medicine and you've got to take it every night for 4 weeks, you can put an end date on here and stop being reminded after those 4 weeks. So I'll click done on that there too. And now you can see the date is today, 8 p.m. And we've got the weekly reminder on there that's going to repeat on a weekly basis every Saturday at 8 p.m. Now, if I wanted to go back in and change any of those details, I can come back into the date here and click on it and choose a different date and time, or I could come back and choose on the repeating part of this task and change that on there too. As you continue to add tasks, you'll find that when tasks become overdue, instead of having this blue text underneath that says today at 8 p.m., it's going to be a red font instead as a little nudge to get it done. So if you see that, it's probably time to tackle whatever's on your list. But what if a task is more than one step? Maybe you planning an event, following up on a project, or completing some kind of multi-step process. Instead of creating separate tasks for each step, you can use subtasks to keep everything organized under one main task. And that's what we're going to cover in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful and want to master Google Tasks, check out my full course on Udemy. In this course, you'll learn how to organize tasks, manage lists, set due dates, and integrate Google Tasks with Gmail, Calendar, and Docs so you can stay productive and get more done. Click the link in the description to enroll today.